Euron Greyjoy is the second-born son of Lord Euron Greyjoy. He is one of the main antagonists from the A Song of Ice and Fire book series who, despite only appearing briefly throughout the series, has made a massive impact on the Song of Ice and Fire readers for being perhaps the most evil character in a series filled with complex and morally ambiguous characters. Euron was born on Pike between 256 and 268 AC. The little information that we have about Euron's childhood gives us an indication of how truly cruel Euron is. In the released sample chapter of The Winds of Winter, The Forsaken, Euron admits to one of the most universally hated crimes in the world of Ice and Fire, kinslaying. Here is a quote of Euron admitting to killing his brothers. "And yet, I wear the crown, and you rot in chains. How is it that your drowned god allows that when I have killed 3 brothers? Well, if you count half-brothers, do you remember little Robin? Wretched creature, do you remember that big head of his? How soft it was. All he could do was mule and shit. He was my second. Harlan was my first. All I had to do was pinch his nose shut. The grayscale had turned his mouth to stone, so he could not cry out. But his eyes grew frantic as he died. They begged me. When the life went out of him, I went out and pissed into the sea, waiting for the gods to strike me down. None did." It is also heavily implied that Euron molested his younger brothers, Aeron Danfer and Euron. Euron talks of teaching Aeron how to pray and visiting his bedchambers when he had had too much to drink. So whatever evil is within Euron has been there from the very start. Because Euron's character is shrouded in such mystery, only appearing in a few chapters, we have to read through the lines to understand what this cold but calculating monster has planned for the future. Euron lacks empathy for killing his brothers so much that he pissed into the sea to mock the drowned god. Euron laughs at the prospect of there being gods, and outwardly has disdain for those that practice religion. Euron says this in the Iron Captain chapter from A Feast of Crows. "Godless! Why, Aeron, I am the godliest man ever to raise sail. You serve one god, Danfer, but I have served 10,000. From Ib to Ashai, when men see my sails, they pray." Euron loves to gloat and brag about his exploits over the known world, and show off his wealth that he has plundered from his long voyage. He claims the Salt Throne by having one of his mongrels blow Dragonbinder, subsequently killing the man days later. He tempts the Iron Men with the glory of taking Westeros and stealing dragons. The Iron Men, who love to fight and conquer, were enamoured by Euron's speech proclaiming him king, despite his absence for many years. Euron is a deceitful person that lies and manipulates the people around him for his own gain and to further his plans. When people no longer are useful to him, he disposes of them. He is 2 steps ahead of those that would oppose him. The prime example here is him sending Victarion to Slaver's Bay to form a marriage pact with Daenerys Targaryen and capture her dragons. Euron undoubtedly knows that Victarion intends to betray him. He is counting on him doing so. The Red Priest Makoro all but tells Victarion, but he is still too blind to see. He tells him that the Dragonbinder's master will control the captured dragon. He also captures Aeron before he can rally people to protest the ruling of the Kingsmoot. If Euron is to be believed, then he is the only person to travel to Old Valyria and live to tell the tale. We have some evidence that he may be telling the truth. In the Forsaken chapter, the Danfer spots him on the deck of the Silence clad in Valyrian steel armour. Euron seems to be planning to become a god on Earth. He is definitely trying to look the part and act the part, as well as having the magical objects to make his vision a reality. Throughout the Forsaken chapter, Euron forces Aeron Danfer to drink Shade of the Evening and tries to get the priest to worship him. He tells Aeron, "The bleeding star bespoke the end. These are the last days when the world shall be broken and remade. A new god shall be born from the graves and charnel pits." Later, in a vision, Aeron sees Euron on the Iron Throne as a Cthulhu-type being. He saw his brother on the Iron Throne again, but Euron was no longer human. He seemed more squid than man, a monster fathered by a kraken of the deep, his face a mass of writhing tentacles. This often makes me wonder whether Euron will be a Night King figure of the book series, bringing on the Long Night and the destruction of the Wall. Sam Tarly is currently in Old Town, where Euron will likely capture during the Winds of Winter. Sam Tarly has in his possession what could be the true Horn of Joramun. So will Euron blow this horn, bringing down the world and creating this eldritch apocalypse that he seems to want so much? Euron is obsessed with being a godlike figure. Where could this affinity for magic come from? In the Reaver chapter, Euron recalls a dream that he had when he was a child, where he dreamt he could fly. Many readers speculate that Bloodraven may have entered Euron's mind as a child, when searching for a Greenseer, but when he saw what was within Euron's mind, he was horrified, leaving Euron scarred from the experience of having his third eye opened. If this is the case, then it would make sense why Euron has supposedly travelled to most of the places in the world of Ice and Fire that are correlated with magic. He is always bragging about his exploits since his exile for the assault of Victarion's Saltwife, referencing sailing to Ashai by the Shadow and Old Valyria. He does also love to drink Shade of the Evening, which is of course like an LSD type drink in the A Song of Ice and Fire universe, so perhaps he is trying to recreate the experience he had so long ago with Bloodraven. Euron may have seen the others when he was falling, just like Bran saw the whole world when he was learning to fly in a Game of Thrones. Euron has used his smiling eye to manipulate and murder his way to the Salt Throne, but now he is preparing to reveal his blood eye to the world, and Westeros is ill-prepared for a threat as great as Euron Greyjoy. We know Euron cares little about committing abominable acts to further his plans at the cost of his own people. Should we be terrified for what comes, or are we falling for this charismatic pirate's tales? For all we know, Euron's Dragonbinder could be fake. The holy men sacrificed may not raise krakens from the deep. Is Euron fooling us into believing in his godlike power, or are we underestimating the level of power Euron possesses? He has yet to be tested, and we are waiting in anticipation for his coming battle with the Red Wine and Hightower fleets. Euron is a character which we can't help but want to see more of. He holds our attention in the chapters that he appears in, and that's what makes Euron's potential as the endgame villain of A Song of Ice and Fire so interesting. What are your favourite theories about Euron's future? I always love hearing people's theories about the Winds of Winter, so I'm extremely interested to hear your opinion. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all. Have a wonderful day, and peace out, my friends.
Deal's off.